What's up, guys and girls? Welcome back to another episode of Meta Web Design. So, in this episode, I'm going to teach you the idea of responsive web design. So, most screens that you will probably be watching this on are small screens, right? So, a phone has a width, the width of a phone is lesser than the width of an entire desktop, right? If you use a laptop, that has a width, but a phone's width is smaller. And usually, websites that were designed in the past, I'm talking about before the 2000s, they didn't really fit well on a phone, right? They just looked very odd on a phone. You had to scroll left to right. Let me give you an example, right? So if I try to resize this page here, if I try to resize this page, as I get smaller and smaller and smaller, you'll see that a scroll bar has appeared, a horizontal scroll bar. Now, on a phone, it's not natural for people to scroll from left to right. It's natural for them to scroll from up to down and maybe backwards, but not from left to right, right? So responsive websites are those websites that look and feel good on a phone. There's nothing non-standard about them on a phone. There's nothing clipped off the screen. The fonts and text is bigger, so it's more readable. Because, if you design something for a big desktop and then, the fonts are small, on a phone, they'll be even smaller. It'll be impossible to read. So I'm not going to actually make this entire website responsive right now, but I'm going to show you what the general idea is. So I'm going to go to our CSS and I'm going to create something called a media query. A media query, think of it like an exception. So we're going to tell CSS if there's a particular viewport size that we have right now, then change the rules. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an exception to the rules. So I'm going to say at media screen. Right? Actually, we'll say only screen. There are two types of media. There's screen and there's print. Obviously, we're creating stuff for screens. Media only screen and max width 768 pixels. So everything below 768 pixels, there's a special rule that we're creating now. Now we're going to say body and we're going to say inside the body, background that used to not repeat. Right, so we're going to change this query here and we're going to tell it when we do it on a screen below 768 pixels, please repeat the background. So now as you can see, I'm just going to refresh this. Nothing's changed, but as I change the size of the background, as I get smaller, so I think we have an extra. So yes, this is it. I've removed the semicolon here. Now, as I refresh this, you'll see that nothing's changed, but as we get smaller and smaller and smaller, until the size of 768 pixels, now the background has completely changed, right? And that's the idea behind media queries. You basically create rules that override all the other rules. These are exceptions to the normal rules. And this allows you to make sure that, when your screen gets small on a mobile phone or something, all the fonts become bigger. So I could literally say, well, font size 40 pixels, right? Now, if I save this, you'll see that all the fonts have gotten bigger. It makes it easier to read on a mobile phone, right? So this is the idea behind responsive queries. We can even have different responsive queries on a smaller screen. So if I wanted to have a media query with a max width of 368 pixels, for example, then I can make the font size even bigger, maybe make it 100 pixels. And I'm going to save this and I'm going to refresh. And as I get even smaller, I don't think you can get smaller than this. Let's make this 568, right? And as you can see, the font size become even bigger, right? So that's the cool part about media queries. They don't affect larger screens. They don't affect any size larger than them. And you can have multiple different media queries to have different sets of exceptions as you get smaller and smaller and smaller. All right, guys. So that's it for this episode. Catch you on the next.